you're not willing to deviate at all. You're not willing to take that risk because you're afraid, because God is all right next door. No kid's going to take the cookie when you're right there in the kitchen. The issue is when you walk away from the kitchen and the kid does something and you know whether you made it or not made it. You said don't do this. And the kid does it, you didn't make it yet. Kid doesn't do it, and then you go further and further, and then you tell the child, I'm going to be away for a whole day, and don't take the cookie. And then then you tell the kid, I'm going on vacation, and I don't want anything that's inappropriate happening in my house, and I'm on vacation 2 weeks. And I'm not going to know what you do or don't do. That's the truth. That's the truth. Exactly. That's the truth. Exactly. So, Hashem is really telling Abraham and all these other religious models that to walk before implies God's confidence in you to do the right thing, and your confidence in yourself to do that which He wants you to do. Now there's no terrain, there's no more path any longer, and God's not holding your hand. You're on your own, but God's saying to you, do it. You can do it. Hashem tells Abraham, walk before me, go out into the world, and choose what's right. Of course, do what's right. God doesn't do what's wrong. Do what's right, but walk out there. I'm not going to be with you. I'm behind you. So you can't rely on me. I'm no longer holding your hand. But this religious model seems to be the superior one to walking with. Now.
Except that, I mean, I hear what you're saying. I think that maybe the sort of rabbinical course to all that hasn't necessarily moved in that direction. Because the double and the triple fences around the Torah suggest walking with God and not before God.
Yeah, that could have happened in light of the diaspora, in light of living in a uncopable, we can't cope, an uncopable world in diaspora. The rabbis who had to deal with a reality which was so alien to them, to us, that they had to build up these other fences, analogous to the child who is not yet ready to go to the Orient. He's 15 years old, he wants to go. You say, not only am I not giving you a plane ticket, I'm tearing up your credit card. That's the double and triple fences because the world at that point, when the rabbis established all these principles, they're saying the people are exiled. There's no security out there. And we know that we have not yet done the job of training them properly. So what do? You build a fence around your backyard.
See, don't you think it ended up clouding the whole issue today? I mean, yes, I understand the reasons why they were created, but then they become halakha, or maybe they don't become halakha, and then it clouds the community's view of whether they should walk with God or before God.
I agree.
And then we end up walking with God, and maybe we sort of move in the wrong direction, taking the wrong road.
Yeah, that could be. And you may lose the forest and the trees.
Right.
You may lose the original what God wants.
Right.
That's true. But again, on the other hand, we've lived for 2,000 years in such unhospitable conditions. Because even when you lived in a particular town for 200 years, 2 days later you might be thrown out and may be devastated, and you're in a new town. So that's the equivalent to, let's say, again, a parent and a child. Even if the child is 21 years old, let's say 21 years old, and there's no rootedness, no stability in the family. Because what happens all of a sudden? You take the kid, you have to keep on moving. So every new move means new reality. It's a new world. So what do? You tell the child, now you can play in traffic? No, why not? Because maybe he doesn't yet know the parameters of an Ocean Parkway as opposed to a Deal Road, as opposed to, let's say, some back road on someplace else. So every new reality is new challenges. Now, of course, the ideal point would be is that if we really taught our kids the principles of right and wrong, or if the rabbis were really confident that everybody has the right pathway, everybody has the right sense to choose. Once you get your kid out across the street properly, even if it's a back road, tell them look both ways and do everything that you have to do and wait and don't want to do everything else, then you can cross any street. Right? All of us cross any street in the world, right? Although it's true that if you go to the Orient, they may have something called jug handles that we have over here. Now, when you talk to a person from Brooklyn, tell me it's a jug handle. What's a jug handle? You got to watch 4 times, right? Excuse me. Because that's something new. So you have to be really extra careful when you talk about jug handles, because it's a new deviation. And even if you go to, say, the Orient, well, they may have a different system. You know, where it says red, it may mean go. You don't know. So there are always new challenges out there that even with the best trained of children to cross the streets, you still have to tell them, look, at a certain point you're on your own. That's true. But you still have to caution them, and the rabbis, to a great degree, are still concerned, as you're saying, that we're not really fully secure that we are where we have to be. And the proof in the pudding is that 40% of American Jewry is assimilating and intermarrying, and it's worse than that in other places. Sorry?
It's even higher than that.
Yeah, it's even higher. So, well, the 40% have no awareness they're Jews. They're not affiliated with any Jewish synagogue, JCC, anything. They're not even on the rolls. And beyond that, you have the 50% intermarriage and everything else that people just not connected. So the rabbis would tend to do what? Tend to those kids who are still in the courtyard of building a higher fence, because you're afraid you lose those the way you lost the other kids who played in traffic and didn't make it.
Yeah, but it's got interested in those that are sitting in the courtyard where the fence is really high. That's
good. So the answer, you're right. You're absolutely. The answer is that you really have to do both. The rabbi that is really aware, because you may smother the kids in the courtyard. Because if your kid is only in the courtyard, then what?
And then they get out.
Yeah, they won't be able to cope either.
Right.
So the answer really is that the analogy is that yes, you have to sometimes build your fences, but you got to keep pushing them out. You build the fence around your immediate backyard, but at a certain point, build another fence, but you push it 20 feet out, and then 50 feet out, 100 feet out. Eventually, the child you incorporate. Right, almost. I understand that, don't I? We really are. So the answer would be the answer is to have both. Because if I only taught people, for example, and said, never leave the community, don't go to the yard, don't go any place, just stay right over here. What have I accomplished? Nothing, because I got people to go out anyway. The answer is that when you go out, make sure that you're ready for it, know what the challenges are, take your tefillin with you, take your siddur with you, and everything else. You have to teach the person to cope with the reality out there. One rabbinical friend of mine from the extreme right wing. Was that YU? But how well you come from YU? But he's from the right wing of YU. He gave a series of classes as what to eat in a non-kosher restaurant. I wouldn't have the guts to do that in this community. I would not.
Downright nasty.
Right, but why that? This guy, I would. It's
I was told to eat in a non-kosher restaurant.
yeah, why? Because the reality is the people are going to be out there.
Right.
So you're going to go to the yard, you're going to go wherever you're going to go. There's going to be non-kosher, you're going to eat there. So he went through all the... I'm sorry?
What do you mean? You have to.
Because you go to the Orient.
You might as well educate. You're saying to the people that are totally relieved anyway. No, are you realistic?
They're gonna what?
He's trying to say he's talking to the people that are going anyway.
He's telling. I don't know the exact sort under which he taught this, but it's an interesting idea. What he's saying is, look, we know you're going to eat.
That's the reality.
That's the reality. And let's do it right rather than do it wrong. He may have said that.
Do it better.
Right, do it better. He may have said, go to the pizza store. The OU on it. Okay, that's good. Okay, but that's easy way. Right. He may have started that way. I don't know. Maybe he started that way. But then he went beyond that and said, look, those of you who are in Des Moines, Iowa, or in Boise, Idaho, wherever you're going to be, on business, whatever it is, now what should you do? You enter this non-kosher restaurant. So now, besides the obvious
I
things,
feel like it's making it allowable.
he is, but he's within halakha.
Survival.
Wait, he's within halakha. Nobody is assuming of him that he did anything that deviates from halakha. He's telling you exactly what you could do, what you can't do. He may have raised issues. I wasn't that serious question. We may have said you cannot, for example, use their ceramic plates. Or we may have said something that once they put the fork in the boiling hot water, that's kosher. So you could use the boiling hot fork. But you can't let him trust him. He went to non-kosher restaurants apparently, and he went through all. And check this is what people do. This is what they do. They chop their lettuce that you can eat with the same knife they're going to chop their ham and eggs. Right? You know what I'm saying? So then you can't do it. In that case. Or he may have told you want to eat that kosher? Do this, and do this, do this. Whatever the parameters may have been. So I'm saying is that's a good rabbi, because whereas it sounds, the certain rabbis will react to that publicly proclaimed classes, you're giving in and you're sanctioning something that's wrong. I understand that perspective. He's saying, I know my Baalei Batim are going out, and I want to do it in halakha, what could you do? Could you have a cup of coffee and chock full of nuts? Raise that question. Can I use that spoon to sugar and stir? What can I assume, what can I not assume in a non-kosher restaurant? Right? It's easy if you're living in New York and you work on 37th Street, you have 12 places within a block radius. But not if you're in Des Moines, Iowa. What do I do?
I'm having a problem with Deal, New Jersey, as opposed to Brooklyn.
You said I'm going to deal.
It's true, but when you have no problem, there's restaurants everywhere you go. Here, you want to go out to lunch, there's nowhere to go. You have to go to the beauty store.
The problem is they don't survive because nobody goes to the stores that we have. That's the problem. So they have to people doesn't support them. Okay, so my point over here is that Eileen's point is well taken. It's true that in the last 2,000 years, perhaps too many walls have been raised, but we understand the dynamics why it was. And the answer really is that if you're losing your people, then don't build higher walls. The answer is build different kinds of walls. Maybe now build permeable walls that you could see through, and just to be able to negotiate what's right. What happens, all of this that we have studied, is to really shed light on this least famous person called Hanoch. And the parameters that we're talking about are very clear now. Was Hanoch an absolutely righteous person? Not really. Right. The model that he had is that he walked with God, which is positive. It's not negative, it's positive, but it could not lead where he was on his own. Therefore, what happens over here is enenu. Enenu means, if you look at Pasuk 25, back to our original page, which is page 29, Noah walked with God, and he was not. Enenu. He was not there any longer. God took him. Why did God take him?
Before he deviated.
Exactly. That's exactly the model that we have over here. That God took him before he deviated, because who deviated? Noah deviated. Had it said that Hanoch walked in front of God, then God would have had the confidence in him and he in himself to continue and live the full normal life.
But he lived for 300 years, and that's a long time to deviate.
So we don't know what years means in that context. We discussed, we don't know what years means in that context. It could be half years, it could be third years, we don't know what it means. Whatever it was, to walk with God is a praiseworthy characteristic. It is a praiseworthy characteristic. Noah did it. And it could involve all kinds of wonderful religious practices. But he did it because God was right next door to him. And that's good. That's good. It's not terrible. It's good to have a sense of God. And you never deviate because God's right. You don't do one thing different. You always do that. But it's not comparable to Abraham, who always walked before God, in whom God had confidence, and Abraham had his own confidence in order to discover. The truly religious personality is the one who walks in front of God. The one who's able to have that sense of right and wrongness, that he's not going to deviate. He knows where he is. And God says it's good to walk in front of me, and we know it's good to walk in front of God. Noah is good, but not the best. Hanoch had to be taken. Why did he have to be taken? Because he didn't have that inner security and confidence, and he would have deviated, as Noah deviated.
Let's be compared to saying that you do something just because Hashem said it, or because you were right.
Yeah, I know what
feel
you're
like
saying, sure.
I feel like that's like saying, like, oh, should we, is walking before God thinking that we're going to is right or not what Hashem said? Isn't that wrong? Should we say we should do it because Hashem said, okay, then we understand, yes, if Hashem said that it is the right thing. But
that does not help me for other areas. What one should do is be able to understand God's system so well that when you're confronted with a new situation, that you know what's right. Because it flows from above. Maybe a good analogy might be, let's say this is the famous case that's brought up in yeshivot all the time. What happens if you see a woman, in great difficulty, right? And you're taught not to touch women, right? Now, if you're a Noah, what are you going to do? And she drowns, right? Because you're taught don't touch women. But if you understand why God says don't touch women, and what's the idea behind it, and the value of human life above and beyond touching women. Right? The human life, so what are you going to say? Of course I'm going to touch her because I want to save her life. Her life is more important than me touching her. So,
don't we have all these interpretations from the Rabbi? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, just take it from but Jamie,
you may not have a rabbi at that point. So now, who do you want when you are swimming in the ocean and when the tidal wave comes? Who do you want? The Noah or the Abraham? You want to look in front of Hashem? Doesn't that
I feel the other one's much more risky.
It is. Hashem tells you, walk before me. It is. And maybe not every personality should in fact be doing that. Maybe one has to know oneself best and know that I'm only a Noah personality. I have to work with God. I can't deviate. So I'm not going to go to the Orient, but send my kid to the Orient, don't go to the Orient. And so I'm going to work right here in my community.
Yes, a lot of people are thinking that way. They want security.
I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not what's right or wrong. The question, how am I raising my kid is an interesting question. You challenge me because that's where you put your money where your mouth is.
I'm just telling people not to.
But I was respectfully waiting, so sorry. Jen.
Maybe there's a development in the personality of man. When you start off with Adam, you say don't touch, he touches, and he pulls like a child, like a 2-year-old. And then Noah, who doesn't, he sort of that cause the parents holding his
Right
hand.
next door.
And then the more mature adult
Yeah, is that
individual who can walk on his own and actually know what's right.
Okay, that's good. I buy that. And but what's the religious ideal is Abraham. But on the other hand, maybe not everybody could be an Abraham. Not everybody should be going to
More people are walk with God people. They have to walk before God people. So why does he have to die? Does everyone have to die then?
not have to die, but enanu means he did him a favor. Enanu means that he lived his life, and before he could deviate according to his interpretation at all. And we didn't study the word enanu. And is this a negative? Is dying a negative? I was going to, we don't have time now, there's only one other person who's somewhat analogous to this. Who's analogous to this situation?
Who just was vanished?
Who vanishes, right. Eliyahu and Rabbi. If you want to read on your web, it comes next week, but if you want to do it on your own, it's Kings 2, Melachim Bet, Perek Bet. It's a fascinating context. All of a sudden, enanu. The term is not used there, but it's not a negative context. It's simply saying that it's a favor to the person. That he was going to, according to system interpretation, he was going to deviate as Noah deviated, and enanu.
Hypothetically, if Noah didn't deviate, would he have just vanished also?
No, we don't know the whole entire, no, then the end of his life would have said, I would say, Vayelech Noah Pnei Hashem. And Noah ultimately went that stage, walking with God to in front of God. Which doesn't, he deviated. So I'm not saying it's negative at all. At the point, rather than Vayamot, rather than dying, as everybody else dies in the context part of this, well, he vanishes. He's no longer there, God takes him. It's a positive characterization of death. Very positive.
Is that what makes him a great person, a small great person?
Yeah, exactly. It's well phrased. He's a relatively great person. Not to denigrate him. Not to denigrate him at all. But he could not sustain, not have the inner strength to walk before God. Sorry.
Why wouldn't you just have be kinder to Noah and let him dictate this is the predecessor of Noah, right here. Here Noah had vowed all the constructions and God had saved the world and gone through this great trauma stuff. Why did he allow him, since he was the same type of personality, to then...
It's a good question. I don't think we ever know why God chooses to intervene at one point and why not. So that one has to be somewhat humble. Okay, Rabbi, tell me why. I say be humble. She says, no, I know. Okay, This class is graduates. They're really something.
I don't know, maybe he had high hopes
For whom?
for Noah.
Oh, okay, so what you're saying is
Going
that...
back to the parent analogy.
No, good point. No, I said that the point may be is that maybe that Noah, the attempt was, here's the bull, take it and run. And Noah dropped it. Noah could not even run with it. So perhaps that's why. In other words, at this point, Elohim says, enanu, this man cannot make it. And yet he's such a righteous person, why let him stumble? I know that, why not? And again, he's the only person about whom this is said. The only person, so he's really a unique religious model. He's unique. And only in 4 verses. But I would think that's analogous, I think Rabbi was on target, in that Noah was given more responsibility. And he didn't handle it. He was sent to the Orient. Noah was sent to the Orient, and he fell. The parent thought that it's okay, and he blew the call. And Noah serves as a negative model that we should learn from as well as the positive of his positive things. And these, again, are various biblical models about what's the right form of religious behavior. Okay, so with this we conclude Hanoch. We understand a lot more than we did when we started, right? We know why he's the least known person. Nobody studies these people. Next week we'll start somebody else, and I'll tell you who it is, but I'm not going to tell you where to find her. Please, look up Huldah HaNeviah. Het Vav Lamed. You never heard of her, obviously. That's how I was. But you shouldn't have had to find her if you want to find her. Right? Huldah HaNeviah, we're going to another least known biblical personality. Huldah.
With a lamed?
Yeah, H-U-L-D-A. Huldah.
Hilda.
Hilda. Now I know what you're talking about.